Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Dzkan Toys over here. Hope all of you guys are doing well. Today we have a new review to look at, and it will be the S.H.Figuarts Recoome and also the S.H.Figuarts Jeice. So it's a bit special because we're looking at two figures at the same time today. I actually got Jeice a while ago but never got to opening him, so I thought I'll open these two at the same time for you guys and do a review and showcase. So let's check out the box art and get the unboxing started then. Alright, now that we have both figures unboxed, I have to say they look quite nice to each other. A short introduction of S.H.Figuarts is that there are a popular line of high quality collectible figures made by Bandai, known for their sculpt work and articulation. Alright, now let's take a quick 360 view of both characters and also go over a brief introduction of each character while we're at it. Jeice is a member of the Ginyu Force, acting as Ginyu's second in command and fighting partner of Birder, being a red-skinned alien humanoid in appearance. Captain Ginyu best described him as an extremely flamboyant and showy white-haired mutant. Nicknamed the Red Magma, he often pairs with Birder for combination attacks, such as the Purple Comet attack. Moving on to our larger character today, Recoome. He's a large, muscular humanoid alien with orange hair. He is the most flamboyant member of the Ginyu Force, seen striking poses more often in battle than Captain Ginyu himself, and generally behaving in a deceptively goofy manner. Furthermore, both characters are part of the Ginyu Force, which is an elite squadron of mercenaries employed by Frieza in the Namek saga of the original Dragon Ball Z series. An interesting little fact is all members of the Ginyu Force have their name based on puns of foods, especially dairy products, and in the case of the characters here, for Recoome is actually named after cream, and Jeice is named after cheese. So I assume that their original naming in Japanese are more similar pronunciation to cheese and cream in the original Japanese language. So over here, when translated in English, it became Jeice and Recoome, or Recoome, however you pronounce it. Now let's move on to the paint job and the sculpting of the figure itself. So let's start with Jeice first. Jeice over here, like many Dragon Ball characters, look quite simple in its overall design. And according to the original author, Akira Toriyama, he often drew his character in a more simpler manner, and this is because it would be easier to draw, hence easier to reach deadlines for making his manga at the time. So it's quite a smart move. Although quite simple, many of his characters are quite memorable, so that's something very special about the creator of Dragon Ball himself. Anyways, for Jeice over here, we can see that overall he wears the Sang armor, which is employed by all of Frieza's army in the Namek saga. For his appearance, starting from the head, he has a unique white hair. It looks quite fluffy, and it is all the way up to his waist and surpasses the waist to the lower legs as well. Now looking at the head sculpt, it does look quite decent and resembles the character quite nicely. Another interesting thing about Jeice over here is that since he is an alien, his skin color is red. Taking a closer look, as you guys can see, the hair is nicely sculpted and detailed. It looks quite different from many of the Dragon Ball hairstyle that we've been getting in the S.H.Figuarts line. I don't really remember another character having a hairstyle like this in the S.H.Figuarts line, so it's definitely a breath of fresh air. Also, we have the signature Scouter from the Frieza army over here, or the Sang Scouter, and Jeice wears it no problem. Other than that, for the sculpting of the head, we can see that even his brows matches his hair color and is done in white. Here's a quick side view and the other side as well. Moving on to the body, we have mainly white for the Sang armor, and it does have brown on the shoulder pads and also the stomach area. For the Ginyu Force, we do have the special Ginyu Force symbol. This one is on the left side or the right side that we're looking at right now of the chest of Jeice. And for rest of the arms, and the inner suit that he seems to be wearing is done in the black color. Of course, we also have white gloves. Moving to the lower half, we have his skin color. This means, I guess, Jeice is not wearing pants in his uniform. I have never thought of this way. It's quite like a lot of American superheroes such as Superman just wearing some underwear, but in his case, he's not wearing any type of leggings as well. But yeah, the legs are done in the same red color that we see on the face, and we have white boots, very typical of the Sang armor design. So there's not much to say about that. Unlike other Ginyu Force members, it seems like he does not have a skirt armor, so this is maybe why Jeice here is very flamboyant. Here's the back view, and we can see Jeice's hair is sculpted very nicely and painted in the white color. I have to say, this is one of the crazier hairs for a Dragon Ball character that I have seen. And yes, I know there is Super Saiyan 3 that exists, but this one, it's just something about it, especially with the sculpt work and also the shape of it. It looks quite unique. I mean, look at that, like that's really thick, even from the side. I'm kind of afraid to have some weight issues in the future, especially if you pose his head in a certain way, but we'll check out that in articulation in just a bit. Moving on to Recoome over here. Overall, he's quite similar to Jeice in a way, but also quite different because the body armor for the sculpture and the paint job is done in the same color. The only difference for his body armor that we see over here is that he, unlike Jeice, also have skirt armor in the front as well as the side areas. As for the head sculpt and paint job design, Recoome over here have orange hair, which is quite rare again for Dragon Ball characters, especially done in the S.H.Figuarts line. I believe. I can't really think of another character right now on the top of my head with orange hair. Similar to Jeice as well, he wears the Sang Scouter, so that's done very nicely. I also really like the detailed sculpt work done for his face because his face looks unlike any other character. One similar styled character that I can think of actually just right now maybe is Android 16. I think he also have similar orange hair and actually a similar hairstyle like a mohawk, but you can definitely tell that in terms of the facial design, they look unique to each other. Here's a more detailed view on the side. So yeah, we have some interesting sculpt work, especially in the brow area, very 3D, and we also have that cheek done there very well. Another alternative view on the other side. Moving down to the lower body, now we have a similar design as I mentioned before compared to Jeice. Mainly, we have the colors white and black for the inner suit, the brown for the decorations of the shoulder armor as well as the skirt armor. The only design difference here, as I mentioned, is the extra skirt armor. But also, something interesting is because maybe Recoome is one of the more muscular characters in the Ginyu Force, in order for him to show off his muscle, I noticed that his bodysuit cuts off at the arms, so his arms are sort of naked in between the biceps to the gloves. So that's very interesting and is done in a skin color. Similarly, when we move down to the legs, we also see that Recoome is wearing the inner body suits, but it is only up to the quad section, so it's like he's wearing shorts, and we see skin color for the rest of the legs connecting all the way to the boots. So quite the interesting design choice for him, and I feel like it's quite flamboyant as well. And not to mention, over here Recoome also have the signature Ginyu Force symbol on the chest plate. From the back, it's not too interesting over here. It's what you would expect from a figure like this, not much to say, but there is one thing I want to mention. It may just because Recoome over here is a larger figure, but that butt sculpture looks extra evident and apparent at the back. Maybe he can do some Kim K commercials in the Dragon Ball universe. Next up, we have accessories. So for Jeice over here, let's check out the faceplates. In terms of faceplates, we have 3 extra ones, besides the normal one that comes attached to the figure. So the first one, we have a screaming face like this. It looks like it's looking forward. The second one is also a screaming face, Honestly, it took me a while to know the difference between this one and the previous one. It seems like this one, the mouth is slightly smaller, like a slightly smaller opening compared to the other one. So I don't know what they're doing with this one. Chef just gave us another much different looking face. The third available option faceplate is with the eye looking towards the sides, and also the mouth is open. Something to note for you guys over here is that for all of the faces, they have a peg hole on the side to plug in the scouter as seen over here. So this means basically for each of the faces that you choose to use, you must have the scouter on, or it will look awkward on one side of the face because there's a hole. There's no option to not wear the scouter for any of the face plates. Next up, let's go over the hands. So we have quite a few set of hands. First, we have the two closed fists, comes right attached to the figure. Next up, we have two open palms. For the key blasts, a pair of slightly less open palms, and these are for holding his beam effects or some kind of whatever move that you want to do. But while we're here, just to show you guys this beam effect that's included in the release, it has a peg hole over here. We have one of these pegs where we can peg in the effect and put it on the wrist. So let's check it out. Here's the end results once we attach the clear peg into the energy ball effect. The energy ball effect is made of a red clear material. We do have white shading in the front part, so that's nicely done. It's always nice when they include effects like this. One negative here that I want to mention, at least for my figure, is that the energy ball effect hole is really tight, and it was extremely hard to peg into the connection peg. I was a little bit nervous that the peg might break, but luckily I got it in, but it is way too tight. Next pair, we have two karate type chopping hands. We also have a single holding hand for the left hand, and this is for holding one of his accessories, which is this briefcase over here. As seen from the series, I believe originally when he brought this briefcase, inside it was full of scouters for the Ginyu Force to use. There we have him holding the briefcase. It's a nice addition for accessory. The final pair of hands is hands that look like that for his posing, and interesting enough, we do have two extra shoulder armors, which looks like this, that I can show you guys. Just like that. The cut opening is a bit different, and it is to enhance Jeice over here when he does a pose like this. So let's try them on. There we go. I'm only gonna put one on so you guys can see the difference, but it is included on both sides. As you guys can see, when Jeice does some pose like that, it looks very natural for the shoulder armor to bend. If we were to do it with the original one, we would have this gap over here and it wouldn't look as natural as the bend. So that's a nice touch. Moving on, we have three more accessories to show you guys. One is this back side armor. I'm not gonna plug this in, but it's quite simple. What you do is you just take this and replace the one at the back of Jeice. The only difference is it has this protruding peg point. Then we can put him on a Tamashii stage stand. So that's a nice thing to have. Next up, we also have Dynamic Dragonball, and in the case of Jeice over here, it is a 2-star one. Again, it's nicely done. Orange and clear, looks quite nice. We'll leave it over here for now. And the last accessory for Jeice is an extra Goku head with a scouter on the side. And this is actually when Captain Ginyu changes or swaps body with Goku, and Goku's face looks like this. So this is a nice accessory, especially you're collecting all the Ginyu Force. Here's a quick look what the head looks like on a Goku body, and as suggested by the operation manual, we should attach this head to the Sang Raised on Earth version of Goku to ensure the best compatibility. Moving on, let's quickly go over the accessory for Recoome over here. In terms of the faceplate, we have 3 extra ones. The one that we see here is the standard one, which sort of have a cocky grin to it. Up next, we have a funny faceplate for Recoome over here. is actually a whole head that we swap instead of just a faceplate. For this one, we have the mouth open and the eyes looking toward the center of the nose, which is quite a funny face. Similarly to Jess over here, if we look at the sides quickly, there's a hole to plug in the scouter. So this means that each expression that we use for Recoome over here, we must use the scouter as well, or else we have this awkward looking hole on the sides. So there's no option to display the faces without the scouter. In addition, Recoome over here, because we changed the whole head itself for the different expressions, what we do is actually swap the hair as well. So each faceplate that we switch, we basically have to plug the hair back in, something like that. There we go. Next up, we have a facial expression looking towards the sides. This one is looking towards our left and with the mouth open. And the last one we get is basically looking towards the other side. In our case, the right this time with the mouth open. And that's about it for the faceplates. In addition, I just wanted to show you guys the connection point between the different head swaps is similar to the type of connection point we've been getting with Jiren and Ginyu or some of the other newer S.H.Figuarts Dragonball line figures. This for the most part is a plus because it's easier to swap heads than the peg system itself, but sometimes it may be loose if you don't put it on properly. As for the hand accessories, we have our standard closed fists, 2 open palms, grabbing style, 2 even more open palms, a pair of karate chop hands, and last but not least, a pair of wacky Ginyu Force posing hands. Alternatively, we also have this very cool accessory, which is this frog over here, a Namekian frog. This is basically when Ginyu used his body swap technique, and instead of changing with one of our Sang fighters, was it Goku? I kind of forgot. He swapped with this frog instead, and Ginyu forever became a frog. Here's a closer look at the frog. So the frog itself is pretty detailed. It's green in color and the belly is white. We have red eyes and there's also black dots for decoration on top. Next up, we have the Namekian Dragonball. Just like all the Ginyu Force, they include 1 each, and for Recoome over here is the 3-star. They all look quite nice because they're the Namekian version. They're bigger than our usual Dragon Ball in clear orange. The final accessory for Recoome is an extra Ginyu head, just like this. The expression is quite funny as well. This is when Ginyu swapped with the frog included, and the frog became Ginyu. So the frog went in Ginyu's body. That's why it has this weird expression. Here's what Ginyu looks like after attaching him with the new head attachment. Moving on to the next section, we have the articulation. So let's quickly check out the articulation of Jess. For the head, we do have a turn. We can't do a 360 due to the armor and the huge piece of hair, but we can look up and down. That's no problem. The shoulder armors, they do move up like that, so you have some room, and then we can go all the way up like that. We have a bicep swivel, elbow bend, wrist rotation, and wiggle side to side depending on the angle. The waist, we do have a leaning forwards, a leaning backwards, side to side. As for the hair, it's quite interesting. We can go all the way up that far and down, and a little bit of a wiggle room. It's quite a hefty piece. For the legs, they kick all the way up that far, all the way backwards. And we do have a swivel here on the thighs, a bend, pretty good, at the knees. And of course, we have the rotation, moving forwards, backwards, toe pivot. So it's pretty standard and what we expect from S.H.Figuarts these days. One more thing about Jess over here is that he does have a butterfly joint articulation here, just a little bit, which extends out. Now let's quickly go over Recoome. For the head, we have a 360, looking upwards, looking downwards, double jointed, so we can wiggle side to side. There's articulation here as well, as you guys see. So it's overall really good. He can look down really far and then look upwards. Shoulder armors, similarly to Jess, can go all the way like that. And the arms can go all the way up spin 360 if you wanted to, but it is a little bit loose for the armor parts as they're all connected by one simple connection point, just like that, which you peg in. This is the same as Jeice and the previously released Captain Ginyu, so be careful when you guys play around with it. We do have a bicep swivel, elbow bend, wrist rotation, also wiggle. What's nice about him is I noticed we have a really strong butterfly joint here, so it looks like he's flexing or squeezing one of our Sang fighters. A negative is that once we pull out the butterfly joint, we do have a hollow point over here if you look at it from the side or the back angle. But overall, it's not too bad. Moving on to the waist section, we have an upper waist rotation and a bend. That's really good. Bending backwards. For the lower waist, we can also have a bend like that and then also bend backwards. So combined with the upper waist, we have pretty good mobility. As I said earlier, the shoulder armor falls off pretty easily sometimes, so be careful when playing around with that as the single connection point is very small. So the skirt armors also connected at a single connection point. They can go up and turn a little bit side to side. Just like the armor here, you have a little bit of a wiggle room, but once you go over, they just fall off. Anyways, I'll keep them off for the rest of the articulation. The legs go all the way up, all the way backwards, sideways. We have a thigh swivel, knee articulation, and ankle articulation, 360, up and down a little bit, toe pivot. So overall, for a big guy like him, it's what we expect from S.H.Figuarts technology, and it's quite articulated. One more thing though, I forgot, I left this piece of armor in the front out, and it's also a single connection point. Falls off a bit easily, and it has an up and down, so we have one more armor here. Time for final thoughts on today's review. So overall, for both these figures, Jeice and Recoome, I feel like they're a welcomed addition in the S.H.Figuarts line. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball, especially the Namek Saga, and a fan of the Ginyu Forces, then these are definitely nice to have in your collection, as these are the best versions of an articulated version of Recoome and Jeice that we have so far on the market. In terms of the negatives, I have to say for both of them, the armor pass falls off quite easily as the connection point is just on a single tiny peg. So often or not, when posing both of these, it is easy for those to come off and may feel like a hand grenade sometimes when posing them. So in the end, would I recommend these guys? Sure, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball and a fan of the Ginyu Force and want an articulated version of these guys, then these are definitely the best choices on the market. S.H.Figuarts definitely faithfully recreated these two characters over here. The sheer amount of accessories that we get in these two releases is very nice. On the other hand, if you guys are not a fan of these characters, then I may just say you guys can skip on these two releases. But for a collector like me who have almost all of the Dragon Ball S.H.Figuarts lines released so far, I feel like these two are more of a breath of fresh air compared to the usual Goku and Vegetas that we've been getting. Anyways, there goes the end of today's review. If you enjoyed the video, remember to support the channel by liking and subscribing. I would really appreciate that. As always, my friends, remember to stay young at heart, and we're out. But if you're not but if you're, in terms of the legs, we can kick all the way up. Whoops, that's not supposed to happen. And it can go, alright, that's not supposed to happen again. I got feelings, I got those feelings, I got